Hello and welcome to Georgia Bulldogs Live here on the Georgia Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Matt Green. My co-host over there, Bo Underwood. Bo, how you doing?
Doing good, Matt. Thanksgiving week. Trying to get through this short week of work so then I can stuff my face on Thursday. Hopefully, watch the Lions get a win over the Packers. I love this time of year. It's my favorite. This Thanksgiving into New Year's. And then I'm a January baby, so Thanksgiving into New Year's into my birthday is like my favorite stretch of the year. So I'm hyped right now, man. The vibes are good. How
That's
are
good
you?
stuff. A lot of love this week, even though this is a clean old-fashioned hate week.
Mhm.
I guess I'll allow that.
We had to start off
Um,
with some positivity.
there you go. There you go. And then just the rivalry week in general. It's going to be a really fun week. I feel like just around the conference, which is
Yeah.
good because week 13 was the worst week of the college
Oh
football
yeah.
season. I would
SEC
probably
Cupcake
say,
Week.
dude, the November cupcake week. And then you hear people like Dan Lanning taking shots about the
Yeah.
SEC schedule. It's like, don't even give these other conferences ammunition. If you're going to play these games, play them in September. That's how I always say. It was just such a buzzkill. Like Georgia coming off a huge win over Texas, and that's kind of like the finale almost. I guess it was the SEC finale,
Yeah, it
but
was.
you followed up with Charlotte. I don't know. There's something about Georgia being done with SEC play the second to last, like the second week of November, has always just kind of annoyed me because there's been years and years that they've done this. I mean, for a while there when Tech was actually good, not to say they're not good now, but they went through a down period. When Tech was good, like they would schedule a triple option team
Mhm.
to kind of prep for Tech for
Yep.
2 weeks. So it's, I would say more years than not over the last 20, 25 years, Georgia's wrapping up SEC play either with Auburn or Kentucky, like
Yeah.
that second week of November. And I don't know. It's just, I'd like to play an SEC game at least that
Yeah.
week, but it wasn't a bad time for Georgia to get it with some of the injuries they got.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was good for them to be able to give guys like Bowens and Allen a breather and everything. And hey, SEC Cupcake Week is going extinct after this year. So I don't know about you, but I was trying my best on Saturday to appreciate it while I had it because next year that's going to be them playing whoever, someone in the SEC. Like they added that ninth game, so this is the last time Georgia
Texas
can play
A&M,
it. Never.
maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it's the last time Georgia's gonna be able to schedule an overmatched team at this point in the year. So I know that they appreciated the glorified practice that it was because it's the last time they're gonna be able to have a game like that for a while.
That is true. One of the many traditions of college football that's coming to an end. This one I'm not so upset about. But yeah, I mean Georgia wins 35-3. Didn't pad Gunnar Stockton's stats at all. Couldn't even get this guy a touchdown. He's in a Heisman race, folks. Have you not gotten the memo? But no, it was good to see Bo Walker. Obviously this is
Yeah.
the Bo Walker show with 3 touchdowns. But yeah, there's not much you can learn from this game. One thing I noted that was how early Rashawn Dinkins was playing.
Mm.
Maybe Rashawn Dinkins is a guy who can actually crack that first team lineup. If we've seen that safety room has been it's tried out all kinds of people. That safety spot opposite KJ Bolden. Although Kyron Jones could be coming back.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's back for the Tech game.
Yeah.
Do you
I'm
know?
not sure if he is, but I saw Kirby said today that they were trying to get him back like last week. And I don't know how true that really was. I'm sure that even if he could have played against Charlotte, he wouldn't have because it was the Charlotte game. But I kind of thought that he was trending towards being like out for the year entirely. So I was pretty
Yeah.
surprised to hear Kirby Smart say that they were even hopeful to get him back for this one. So maybe he will play in the Tech game, and if he doesn't, then maybe he'll play in the postseason. It's kind of sounding like that right now, at least.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. And then CJ Allen is going to be out for this game against Tech this week, but
Yeah.
I think he has a torn meniscus, which I tore my ACL and my meniscus back in high school, and I want to say the ACL is not a quicker recovery, but you're kind of supposed to just as soon as you can do something like start to do it. It's like the meniscus, like as soon as it starts to feel good, just like start ramping it up more and more. Like the meniscus is like you couldn't do anything for like
Mm.
however many weeks just because it's that cartilage between your knees. It just has to. You just have to rest for it. So, but it's a much quicker recovery. So, I mean, he could be, have what, like a whole month off maybe by the time Georgia plays a
Yeah.
playoff game. I mean, maybe longer if they get that first round bye. But yeah, so makes sense for CJ Allen to be out of this one. Hopefully, that would be the one plus of not being in the SC championship is not having to play a big game of that magnitude without, the leader of your defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big loss, especially considering CJ Allen probably played maybe if it's not his best game as a Bulldog. I think for me personally, it's his most memorable performance as a Bulldog was last year against Georgia Tech. I mean, he made some huge plays in overtime, and for as much as Tech was just kind of getting whatever they wanted with the run game, whenever they were stopped, I feel like a lot of it had to do with what CJ Allen was doing out there. So that's a huge loss. I mean, that's one of your main veterans. That guy's basically been a starter since his freshman year. He was pretty much the best player on Georgia defense this entire year. I didn't see that it was a torn meniscus for sure, because if it is, I mean, that's a pretty serious injury. That's not quite as bad as like an ACL tear or something like that, but that is at least a month injury. So yeah, it sounds like,
it may not have been torn. I might not be 100% on that.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the update that Kirby gave was not great. It was just like, oh, he's working hard. We're hoping to get him back when we can. But at the same time, that does kind of sound like they're leaving the door open to him coming back at some point, and they're going to need him, man. They'll be like, they've got enough talent in that linebacker room to where I think that they can tread water for a couple games without CJ Allen. But if they've got to make a whole playoff run without that guy, I'd be kind of worried, because he's as important to that defense as really anybody is.
Yeah, I'm with you there. But any like takeaways you really had from this Charlotte game?
Not much aside from I just one thing I really appreciate about Kirby Smart is that he never feels the need to just blow out these types of opponents. He never feels the need to run up the score to be like 70-0, like Ohio State did earlier this year. That's not me throwing shots at Ohio State. I'm just naming an example of sometimes
throwing shots, man. Throw them.
Do that. Like I appreciate that, Georgia is comfortable to just treat these games like practices, not put too many plays on tape that you don't need to be putting on tape before you have to, and just kind of getting out there with a win, getting out there without any injuries, and letting the young guys play. It was really cool to see Bo Walker do his thing. I thought Elijah Griffin, I mean, we talked about him last week and how he's starting to come on. I thought this was Elijah Griffin's best game, which, go figure, it's against this opponent. But I swear, I think I can't say this for sure, but I feel like every pass rush snap Elijah Griffin was in on, or at least most of them, he got pressure. Like, he was getting through, man. And obviously, you've kind of got to take this type of game with a grain of salt. You never want to put too much stock in somebody going crazy against Charlotte when it's Georgia. But if they can get some juice out of him for the next, final stretch of the year, I think that's pretty huge. There have been the last couple weeks, I guess dating back to the Mississippi State game, there have been signs of life from the pass rush and from the front seven in general. And I think that was good to see against Charlotte, even though, again, you can't read too much into it.
Yeah, I'm with you. It just seeing the way that dude moves, it always excites you. But yeah, like you said, I mean, I think Kirby Smart is essentially saying the same thing at his press conference today. Like, not disrespecting Charlotte or anything, but they were outmanned at every position. So yeah, we blasted it basically. Not like Alabama did. Did you see the Alabama box score?
No, what was it?
Eastern Illinois, I think it's 56-0. Eastern Illinois had 34 yards in a football game. They had 34 yards. They had 2 first downs. I didn't watch a second of that game. I only saw the box score. But
all I saw Ty's stat line, and it wasn't very great. I saw Ty had Ty Simpson went 11 of 16 for 150 yards and 2 picks.
Oh, wow. I knew they ran the ball well.
That's a little funny. And of course, yeah, they ran the ball for a gazillion yards and beat them by 60. But that was interesting. Ty Simpson, I guess he's regressing to the mean or whatever you want to say. But this last month of Ty Simpson has been really just not very good, and they're going to need that to pick back up before the playoffs and before the Auburn game. I mean, like
Yeah.
Auburn has a really good. I'm not going to say a playoff caliber defense, but I think it's kind of in that range. Like Auburn's got a legitimate defense that's just been derailed by horrible offensive play. You can't play like that against those guys. You might have a
First of
bad
all,
time.
they absolutely have a playoff caliber defense. They have a national championship caliber defense. Like
I
Auburn's
guess
D
the
is
meaning of
legit.
playoff caliber is like thinking.
Yeah, like you could win a national championship with that defense. They're nasty. And Georgia's had what? Georgia's one of the top 3-4 rushing offenses in the SEC this year. I know they're up
They've
there.
got to be.
And
Yeah, they've got to be up there.
And what did they have? Gunner led them in rushing in that game. They had like 50,
Yep.
60 yards rushing against Auburn in Jordan
Yeah.
Hare. Like Alabama's been bad running the ball all year. And now they got to go into Jordan Hare. Like, yeah, like you said, it's been on Ty Simpson. Like when they're winning, it's like Georgia didn't shut the run game down, but they definitely had to win through the air. They had much more success through the air. So I don't know. Gunner also threw a pick in this game,
Yeah, not a great
Simpson
one.
threw 2, so maybe don't overreact to these cupcake games. But yeah, you prefer to see 4 touchdowns and only play 2 quarters. But I think Puglisi was in there by early third quarter, right?
I mean Ryan Montgomery got a drive at the end there. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Puglisi, if we want to like keep talking about the backups for a little bit, like I thought Puglisi looked pretty sharp, man. That was good to see. My boy CJ Wiley caught a few passes,
Yeah.
Dwight Phillips got some nice run. Like a lot of my guys had a pretty good game. So that makes you feel good about the future of the program. Is you're basically watching G-Day every time one of these games happens. So whenever a young guy shows out, it's nice to see. But I think the big one in terms of like he went off in this game and it actually has implications for the rest of the season. I think that's Elijah Griffin. I think Elijah Griffin's going to have a real role going forward.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. Yeah, the way the ball just jumps out of Puglisi's hand, that gets you excited. Yeah, it's nice to see CJ Wiley making some plays. But yeah, I think and like we said, Bo Walker before, 3 touchdowns, obviously good performance by him. But yeah, I think like 15 different guys caught a pass or something in this game.
Jeremy Bell caught a pass.
Who did?
Jeremy Bell. I've got my mother and then like her whole side of the family is from Homerville, Georgia, which is a real small town in South Georgia, Clinch County High School, and that's where Jeremy Bell hails from. So me personally, I've been rooting for him a lot this year. So that was really cool to see him get a catch. If he sticks around, I think he could really do something. He's got some nice wiggle.
I remember in the off season. Sorry to cut you off. I remember in the off season, everyone said he was like the best basketball player on the team.
Yeah,
so I feel like that's got to go for something.
Talking,
yeah. If you're a baller on the basketball court, you got some athleticism for sure. So I'll say let's shift to the unfortunate news that we haven't had to deal with much of.
It's been a while
lately. But the headline might as well read another Georgia player, speeding, arrested, all of that stuff. Nair Daniels, true freshman offensive lineman, already been dismissed from the team. Everything. I think there was reports that maybe he was going to hit the portal anyway. I'm not sure, but you were looking into the details on this, so I'll give this to you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, anytime this happens, it's just really frustrating. I mean, when I was in college with the red and black, we had on our whiteboard, we had a countdown. It was like days since the last Georgia player arrested. And, every day we'd walk in and we'd 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, and then it would happen again. And we'd have to put it back to 0. So here we go, back to 0. I mean, it's at this point, I feel like I sound like a broken record whenever we talk about this, but it's bizarre that this keeps happening. It's bizarre. It's disappointing. It's just, in a way, it's even heartbreaking because you realize the opportunities that these guys get and the way that they're squandering them. I mean, the fact that not only do players continue to get arrested, but it's always driving related. 2 years removed, 2.5, I get almost 3 now, removed from a tragedy that claim the lives of two people with the program. One of them's a player, one of them's a team staffer. Like, it should have stopped
Yeah.
right there. There should have that should have been the wake up call right there to everybody on the Georgia football team, then and forever going on, that we need to go the freaking speed limit. We need to put our seatbelts on. Like, Nair
No, that's
Daniels.
fair.
I mean,
It's better than other crimes though, right? Not that I'm not that
but
I not that I'm
the fact that it's this every single time, like the fact that it is dry, and that's like, it's dangerous. People can
Yeah,
die.
no, for
Nair
sure.
Daniels was going 100 miles per hour allegedly in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, and he had his two younger siblings with him. Like, he caught endangerment of like child endangerment charges with this arrest because he was going so fast. He had his own younger siblings in the car. His mother was involved. His mother got us like. I believe the chase started because they said his mom didn't want to get a speeding ticket or something, and then like he got pulled over, and the incident report said that he really wasn't comprehending the severity of the situation or how much he had, effed up, so to speak. Like, just a bizarre arrest. I mean, I cannot believe that this continues to happen, and it's really disappointing. It's a bad luck for the program, and I mean, I feel like everything people say about the Georgia program when it comes to this is pretty warranted because they keep proving that it's a problem.
No, that's fair. I'm not here to downplay the severity of especially this situation, because it was kind of interesting. Like, one thing I've commented on the past, and once again, not defending anybody. I don't remember just people getting arrested for just speeding. Like was it Nitro Tuggle or someone was like driving 100 on like the loop or something? It's like a 70. It's like, since when do you get arrested for going like 30 miles over? Like, you don't just get like a super speeder. Like, what is that?
Well, because they also like flee the cops and lead them on a chase and everything.
That
I'm
could
not
be.
sure if that
be
was what
part of it.
Tuggle was doing. I'd have to go back and look at that. But the reason that Nair Daniels is now facing like 4 felonies is because he also led the police on a chase, essentially.
No, yeah, for sure. I'm definitely not defending this specific situation, especially with the kids involved and everything. But it was interesting that, like, we haven't even heard all the details. I mean, I guess we've heard, what we've heard at this point, but like, and he's already dismissed from the team. So I found this interesting from a Kirby Smart perspective of, sometimes, this story's out there and then, it lingers for a little bit. We're getting more information, whatever it is. And then sometimes it's, as soon as he's arrested, this guy's dismissed from the team. I don't know. And Kirby kind of talked about it a little bit today during his press conference.
Yeah, he said that they look at these on a case-by-case basis, which to me is kind of just him saying, if you're a good player, if you're an impact player, we'll pretend that we didn't see it. And if you're a reserve and you're more, I guess, expendable, so to speak, then you're gone. Like, that's all that I thought. It was a pretty weak answer from Kirby. He had the chance to say that there's no tolerance for this type of thing, that we don't put up with it or whatever. And he basically told Anthony Dasher, the reporter asked a question. He was like, well, those are your words, not mine. Like, we're going to continue to look at these individually. And to me, that could not have been more obviously him saying, like, if I'm not going to name any names, but like, if Zachariah Branch was going
I'm not going to name any names
tomorrow, maybe we wouldn't think it's such a big deal. Not saying anything personal about Zachariah Branch. I'm sure he's a very responsible driver, but like, you get what I'm saying. I thought that was kind of disappointing. Kirby had the opportunity to put his foot down, and he didn't.
I mean, let's be fair. I don't think we want Kirby to put his foot down in this situation of just like a zero tolerance. You get arrested for.
I'm sick of this, dude.
You get arrested for a speeding ticket, regardless. You're the starting quarterback. You're kicked off the team.
It cannot keep happening. How are all these guys going 95 and a 45 all the time when they know it is this black cloud that hangs over the Georgia program? It is something that every other fan base makes fun of Georgia for, and rightfully so. Like,
they only know one speed, sir.
I guess, man, because like I know other programs have guys get arrested too, but it's not this many guys, and it's not always for the same thing. Like, all these articles coming out today are syndicating the laundry list of Georgia arrests stemming from 2023. It's ridiculous that like the Willock LaCroix crash should have been the end of it all. But if anything, it's like the impetus. It's like the beginning of all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Did that happen to their teammate and it made them want to race more? Like, what are they doing? I just don't
Yeah,
understand.
that's a good question. I will say this from Kirby's perspective. Like I was obviously joking, but in terms of like a case by case basis, there can be a guy who does everything the right way and he got a speeding ticket. Like, you're a captain, you're a model citizen, do this, do that, and then you got a speeding ticket. Like, we're not going to kick you off the team. But if you're a guy who's already shown issues here and you've shown issues there, you're not showing up to class, now you're getting a speeding ticket, making the program look bad. It's like that's the kind of thing I feel like you could justify case by case basis and not just
Yeah,
simply, are you an impact player on the field or are you not, and we can kick you off. It
yeah, and
could
I
be a
understand
little more.
that. Maybe I'm going too far, and maybe like yeah, I'm. Some of these incidents are definitely more severe than others. It's like there have been guys that have gone 80 and a 55 and gotten pulled over for that, and like I do that all the time. Like I not to snitch on myself, but we've all done that. But it's completely different when you're going like over 90 miles an hour, which there's never a reason to do that unless you just really got the need for speed. And you have other people in the car with you, you're trying to evade police. And then on top of all of that, like you're a player for the Georgia football team who is like the one organization on the planet that is the most known for getting these driving incidents.
Yeah.
I it's crazy that it keeps happening. It really is just crazy.
No, yeah, and I think that last part is like the biggest thing. Like, no disrespect to you over there, sir, but it's like a Georgia football player on a full ride scholarship has a lot more to lose than you do.
Yeah.
So it's like, and at this point, Georgia's under this microscope, and you just know that it's going to be a thing if you guys mess up or anything like that. So now I'm with you. I have sympathy for 18 to 22-year-olds that drive fast because I definitely have been there. But yeah, I mean, you just gotta at this point. Also, maybe you weren't around when Devin Willock was an actual teammate of yours, but it's so recently like
Mhm.
that it just should just still be fresh in everybody's mind.
Yeah, it absolutely should be. I mean, that was a terrible tragedy that, took the life of two young people way earlier than it should have. Two young people that were going to go on to, do great things. And like, it's just the fact that that incident pretty much served as the beginning of all this rather than the moment that made everybody realize we've got to get it together and stop doing this just really disappoints me.
I'm with you there, man. I think that's a reasonable take, but that's all I really have to say about that issue. It's unfortunate that it happened, but
Yeah. Until
Nair
the next
Daniels,
time it happens.
yeah, Nair Daniels no longer with the team. And I don't know what the last one was. I can't remember. Maybe like Nitro Tuggle or something. That was a recent
It
one.
was yeah, it was
You
Nitro
got the
Tuggle.
list. You got a
Nitro
list in front of you. So that
It
would have
was
been what,
Tuggle and
spring 2023 or
it was
2025.
Tuggle and Marcus Easley like happened at the same time. That was like March.
Oh, the Marcus Easley one was really dumb, right?
Yeah,
He was like doing donuts in an apartment
like in the
complex or
apart
something
like
and crashed his car into like a building or something like
with other
that.
Georgia athletes in the car. Like it was he crashed car in the building.
That's not great. That's not what you want.
What are you like? See, that's the type of stuff. Like, what are you doing? First of all,
Yeah.
that's dumb, no matter how you slice it. But again, you're with Georgia football. That'd be dumb if you played for LSU. It'd be dumb if you played for Auburn. But it's really dumb if you play for Georgia.
Yeah.
That's the one program you shouldn't be doing that with. Really, well, you should be doing it with anybody, but you know what I mean. Like, oh man.
Yeah. Like I said, they only know one speed, sir.
I guess. Yes.
But let's shift gears here. The college football playoff rankings are going to come out tomorrow. But a lot of people, have an idea of what they're going to be already.
Yeah.
I'm going to add our guy Bud Elliott here to the stage. So Bud Elliott, Cover 3 podcast, 24/7 sports and all that. So this isn't exactly what the rankings he's predicting for tomorrow, because he's going ahead and like just projecting the playoff field. So as you can see here, Bud Elliott thinks Alabama is going to win the SEC and get that 3 seed. That would put Ohio State 1, Indiana 2, Alabama 3, and A&M 4. So just looking at this, if the losers of the Big Ten and the SEC championship still get a first round bye, like that's gonna be so lame to me. Like those games just don't matter like at all. Like Indiana plays one good team the whole year. I guess Ohio State would be the second, and then they are the 2 seed for losing to half of the good teams they've played. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it would be kind of lame. I don't know if this is what's going to be what happens, right? Like,
so yeah, let's go further.
If assuming that those two conference championship matchups hold, I'm sure that Ohio State versus Indiana is like already on ice or damn near. And then assuming it's Texas A&M versus Alabama, which it could not be, they could easily lose, which I'm sure we'll talk about those games later on in the show, but you gotta think there's no way those are the 4 teams with the buys, especially if someone blows out someone else in that game, they've got to put Texas Tech up there, or even Georgia if they want to. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of I can see what Bud is saying, because I do think those are the 4 best teams in the country. Maybe Georgia you could put above one of them, but I don't know. I agree. That would kind of defeat the whole purpose of those games, aside from the bragging rights of winning your conference. You lose your conference title game, you probably shouldn't be getting a bye.
Yeah, Alabama getting up there, like that's a wild card right there. If they win the SEC, then they're gonna have to get some amount of respect. But like they are a 2-loss team. I think the idea that we're just like not going to count the 13th data point, like it's just all good and no bad, is just very weird to me. Because if you look at A&M as a 12-1 team versus Georgia as an 11-1 team, like who's got a better resume? Like if Alabama beats Texas A&M, then they would have lost to the only team they lost to is the same team that Georgia lost to A&M, and A&M and Georgia would have both lost to Alabama at that point. And then Alabama, Georgia's beaten Ole Miss, and they've beaten who else? Tennessee, and they've beaten, I don't know, whatever their resume is. Texas A&M, Georgia Tech, I guess would be another ranked team. A&M, I guess A&M would have the win over Notre Dame. Is that their only ranked win? They would both have the win over Texas, which is a borderline ranked team at that point, something 20-ish. So I just don't know why A&M wouldn't be punished at all for losing that game. Like, I don't know. Same with Indiana, like even more so. Like they have the 1 win over Oregon and then a bunch of wins over a bunch of garbage teams. Yeah.
And I don't mean to keep wringing my hands about one guy's playoff prediction, not Bud's great. But I don't want to make it seem like his playoff projection is like the end all be all or whatever, but
of course.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think that there's just no way that would be the top 4 after they all play each other over one weekend.
It is possible though. You remember last year, like the top 4 were the 4 conference champions, but the top 2 at large, like the 5 and 6, were Texas and Penn State. The 2 teams that lost those conference champions, like those were the number 1 and 2 at large teams. So with Texas Tech still being there, a potential 1-loss conference champion, maybe they get one of those top 4. Maybe just don't want to reward Georgia for not playing.
I think they would. I think if anyone's going to slide up in that top 4 after 2 of these 4 teams lose, because that is what will happen, just mathematically. I think Texas Tech would be first in line for that spot, and then I guess you would have Georgia as that. And I suppose the reason against this and the reason for having that top 4 is like, why are you rewarding Georgia for not making their conference title game when A&M and Alabama actually did? But again, I think that just depends on how good the game is. If A&M and Alabama play this amazing game where nobody deserves to lose, then you might have to just keep them both up there. But we haven't seen the game yet, so.
And in the past, it made sense. And Alabama's obviously done something that Georgia hasn't done. Like Alabama beat Georgia, and that's why they would be in the SEC championship. That's why they have the tiebreaker over them. But A&M just doesn't have the tiebreaker over Ole Miss, and they don't have a tiebreaker over Georgia. So it's just like they just got into that game because of the luck of the schedule. And so we don't definitively know that A&M is better than Ole Miss or Georgia at this point. But
well, they beat if they win the SEC though.
If they win, but I'm saying if they're a one-loss team, if they lose to Alabama, it's like they'll have beaten Texas and Notre Dame and lost to Alabama. Like that's fine as far as a resume goes, but I don't know. We'll see what they do here, but obviously, yeah, Bud is projecting some here, and I like at least that he's projecting because every playoff ranking that they do has Miami getting that ACC spot.
Oh yeah,
but it's like if Miami can't play in the ACC championship, they're not going to get that spot. So I think right now the one-loss ACC teams it's Virginia, SMU, and Pitt.
Isn't the title game already set to be Virginia versus Pitt? I mean Virginia versus SMU.
No. There's a lot of it's still up in the air. Like it can be like a 5-way tie or 6-way tie with like 2 loss teams or something. I think at this point, like I think there is still a chance Georgia Tech can get in if it's like a crazy tie, a bunch of 2-loss teams. But yeah, Pitt, SMU, and who the other one? Virginia. Yeah, they're the only 1-loss ACC. So it should be most likely to be one of those 3.
Yeah, it's got to be. It's very two of the 3. I don't know. At this point, I don't care what ACC team gets them in.
Yeah,
same.
Yeah, I'm with you. And this would honestly, the home playoff game would be cool. And I think from a like poetic justice kind of perspective, Georgia playing A&M in the second round would be great. It's like I'm talking here about how we have no idea who's better between Georgia and A&M. So if we get that 4-5 matchup, that would be a great one. But man, getting that home playoff game and it being North Texas, I don't know. Feels like playing Charlotte. I don't know. Like, hey. I'm not throwing shots here at North Texas at the Mean Green. But yeah, so that he has North Texas getting that 12 spot and SMU getting the 11. But Oregon, Notre Dame, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, those could both be good first round matchups. But I'd like to see SEC not playing SEC in the first round if possible, because I would just, I would like to see how they do in another conference, especially because we've gotten Oklahoma, Ole Miss already this year. So
yeah, I'd like to avoid that as well. I think I mean, okay, that's kind of
Oregon. Give Ole Miss the 7. Give Ole Miss the 7. Get Oregon, Oklahoma, and then Ole Miss, Notre Dame.
I mean, that's kind of the thing about the fact that literally ESPN gets to decide who makes the playoff. They're gonna make the most intriguing first round set of matchups that they can. Like
they really want Miami to get in there.
They have
to
get
Carson Beck
to do it. They'll do it. But that's kind of what you sign up for when you let TV networks decide the playoff. They're gonna avoid those redundant games, I think, in the first round.
I will say if you can legitimately justify these two teams are like on the same level and we're going to give a nod to one or the other, you should be able, I think you should take rematches into account. Like Oregon, like if we're thinking Oregon, Ole Miss, like, oh, are they 7-8 or whatever? And it's like, well, Oregon, Indiana would be like a rematch if they played in the second round. Like, okay, well, let's just swap Ole Miss and Oregon. Like, and then, neither of those teams have played each other and haven't played Ohio State. I don't know. Maybe that's too much to worry about. But
I think that's exactly what they would do. Is they would just put Oregon at 8 and Ole Miss at 7. Man, obviously other stuff has to happen. And I don't think we'll be set for an Ole Miss Oklahoma first round matchup anyway to even have to avoid it. But if we are, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think they're going to play in the first round because the committee knows that. Like, they don't want to see 2 SEC teams in the first round either. They want to turn the SEC loose on all these other conferences. Yeah,
absolutely. That's what I want, sir. Yeah. Turn the SEC loose. See how it stacks up against the other conferences. Don't make them play each other right out of the gate.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we'll see. I'm curious to see what the committee does with Georgia. At this point, it doesn't really matter. Georgia's in the playoff. mean, I guess there's a crazy scenario where they lose to Tech, right? I mean, Georgia's still in the playoff. They lose to Tech. I don't know.
They'd have to.
But
I don't even. Okay, well, I got.
because I mean, we're talking about Vanderbilt and BYU being out right now, and also Michigan's like a chaos team too. Because if Michigan beats Ohio State, they're like, and you can't punish the teams that lose in the conference title game. Michigan's gonna weasel their way into like the 10 seed or something.
Dude,
but
no way.
Michigan I don't know. Surely they can't beat Ohio State a fifth year in a row.
I'd love to see my cousin Bryce in the playoff, but I'm not sure if that will happen. But yeah, no, I mean, rivalry weekend could go a myriad ways, and
Alabama's also a team that could get knocked out like this week.
They could literally, that's the thing. Alabama could like literally miss the playoff entirely. Still, maybe.
Yeah, so I guess there's some things that can happen.
Auburn, they snag the 12 seed because that win over Georgia is not nothing. That win over Georgia may prove to be their saving grace, even if they lose to Auburn. But as I think that's definitely the highest seeded team here that stands the risk of missing the playoff completely. Like
Oklahoma, I think Alabama too, if they lost to LSU this week. But
like, I think a Bama loss will put maybe this is just me being biased, and you can yell at me if you want in the comments or whatever. But I think a Bama loss would put Bama at more risk of missing the playoff than the Georgia loss would.
Losing to Auburn versus losing to Georgia Tech?
Versus Georgia losing to Tech.
Yeah, I think so. Because, this is Bud Elliott projecting Alabama at 3. They're currently at like 9 or 10, right? So, if they lose, I think they are out. Especially, we talked about, 10-2 SEC teams like they're a lock. Like, Vanderbilt could be a 10-2 SEC team that's still trying to get in. BYU is also sitting at, 10-1 right now? So there's some other teams. Miami's also a 2-loss team that's right on and has a head-to-head over a team that's currently in the field. Like, they could find a way to get in that large somehow. I don't know, but I think if Alabama loses to Auburn, I think they're out of the playoff unless it's just the craziest weekend of the year and 5 top 10 teams lose or something. Yeah. I think Alabama loses to Auburn, and I think they're out of it completely.
Yeah, I think they might be too. We'll see. I mean, they've looked pretty bad this whole last few weeks. I mean, they've since the Georgia Alabama game, I feel like their seasons have kind of trended in opposite directions almost.
Yeah,
and a loss to Auburn would be, that'd be rock bottom for them. So they could just wind up getting left out, but. We'll have to see, man. This is going to be a pretty consequential rivalry weekend, so I'm excited to see it, man.
It is, man. It is a consequential rivalry week, and it is a clean old-fashioned hate week, sir. Yeah. And I had some stats earlier in the year. I didn't even pull them up. I'd have to go back in my document to find them, but I had stats about, when these teams have both played as top 10 teams and all this, and what could potentially happen, and Tech's just kind of falling apart here down the stretch. So we're looking at what number 4 versus number 16. No, they don't have the new rankings. They still have the playoff rankings. I think it's 4 versus 23 in the AP poll. But yeah, Georgia Tech, man. What's the first Georgia Tech memory? Maybe not the first memory you had, but the first one that jumps out to you of just all-time Georgia Tech moment.
Oh man, the one that I always think of probably for the first time I remember being a conscious fan watching that game was when 2013 game when Georgia Tech went up 20-0, and then Todd Gurley went crazy.
Oh yeah,
had the walk-off game winner in overtime, and I believe that was their 5th straight win over Tech, which they hadn't beat Tech 5 years in a row in a long time at that point. So that was a pretty awesome game. I remember being super hyped about that one. That was in Bobby Dodd. I just remember I remember watching that game with my family on the TV and being like, oh my god, Todd Gurley is a god, and a part of me still feels that way. So
absolutely. Todd Gurley, all-timer. That's a good one. I think, shout out to my brother. I think he posted a selfie with his now wife at halftime of that game. It was before the comeback or something like that when they were down 20-0. And yeah, that was big time. The first one jumps out to me is actually the first one in said streak you're referring to. of the 5 straight, which would have been 2009. And remember as the We Run This State game. That was because 2008 is the worst 10-3 season of all time, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of college football history. People talk about that 2008 team like they were just the worst, like they were Florida State from last year or something. It's like
they literally finished number 2 the year before and brought everybody back, and then
it was disappointing. You don't have to tell me. I was disappointed, but it's like that team did lose to the 2 teams that played for the SEC championship and Georgia Tech that year. So it's like it was a very disappointing year, but I think they finished the year like 12th or something.
Yeah, they collapsed that game.
But yeah, that 2008 game, they had like 400 yards rushing, and it was just like, I don't know, it was just year 1 of Paul Johnson and everything. So that was brutal. In 2008, you kind of forgot how much you hated Georgia Tech. You were like, this 7 straight. I think, wait, because you're saying 5 straight. I'm pretty sure they won 7 straight. Like the first 7 years of Richt, because I think that was Richt's first loss to Tech was 2008. And you look at, and then so coming back 2009, it was just like they were Georgia Tech was 10-1 going into that game, ranked number 7. Georgia was 6-5, and came out the original Gershel, number 3 and number 4, would have been Washawn Ely and Caleb King, number 3 and number 4. But not a lot of great moments from the Washawn Ely and Caleb King era. But Ely had 183 in that game. Caleb King had 166. Had the We Run This State on the eye black and all of that. That was a great all-time moment, because I literally did. It was like the first time. 08 was like the first time that Tech like really got us in my fandom. And so to bounce back in 09 and just kind of ruin their top 10 season, that was huge.
Yeah, that and the whole, like, I guess this is a bit of a subject change, but that 4-year stretch where they traded wins, Georgia won 2013, Tech won that crazy game 2014, Georgia won that horrible, awful game in 2015, and then Tech.
Why can't I even remember the 2015 game?
Because nothing happened the whole time. The only thing that happened was Terry Godwin threw a touchdown pass. But
this would have been at Tech. Yeah,
no, it wasn't Athens, because it was the year after Georgia. No, yeah, it was at Tech. Yeah, it was at Tech.
Okay. Because I was thinking all the ones they win are at Georgia.
Tech has beaten Georgia. They've both been in Athens. And then
I think every time they've won this century, they've been in Athens.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
That's probably right. But 2016 was when Georgia blew the fourth quarter lead. But that was a crazy, like, for as much of just a last year's game notwithstanding, the last 7 years before that game were all just kind of blowouts and snooze fests. But for 4 straight years there, that Georgia Tech Georgia rivalry was like kind of insane, and it kind of feels like we're getting back to that now.
Let's hope we don't get back to that, sir. I prefer the snooze fest. No, maybe not a snooze fest, but I do like the 3:30 Friday slate. Like, I love this Black Friday, this triple header we're gonna have on Friday. It's gonna be awesome. Yeah. Also, it always seemed to be like a noon SEC network game for the longest time. So, you're kind of trying to keep up with Ohio State, Michigan while you're watching the Georgia game, So this is nice to just be at a different time and be able to watch that game. But also along the same lines, I want to shout out 2006. That would have been Stafford's freshman year.
Oh yeah,
that was like the same type of deal in 09. They came in, they were 9-2, ranked number 16. Georgia was 7-4. I think Georgia had just beaten Auburn, blasted Auburn when they were like top 5. When Paul Oliver shut down Calvin Johnson, sir. I saw it with my own 2 eyes. I know you're a big Detroit fan. You think that couldn't have happened.
Oh,
I saw it. I saw it. R.I.P. Paul Oliver.
Paul Oliver, man.
But dude, he shut down Calvin Johnson for an entire football game. Paul Oliver is always like a what could have been kind of story to me. Like, because he was picked. He came back for his senior year, and then I think had academic issues, so then like had to go pro anyway. And he was picked in like the supplemental draft, and he did play for the Chargers for a little bit. Obviously, had off-field stuff going on as well. But I always thought it was a bummer that he didn't get to come back for his senior year, or it's like if he just goes pro, who knows? He could have been a first rounder. You put that Calvin Johnson tape out there. It's like he was just such a big corner. But yeah, he dominated Calvin Johnson for an entire game, and I'm still not sure how it happened. Stafford had the last minute drive, the touchdown to Muhammad Massaquoi at the end. So yeah, that was the same deal. When Georgia comes in I guess those were always the best games. When Tech is like a nationally ranked team and Georgia's having like their terrible seasons, that's when we get some of the most memorable games in the series.
Yeah, that was the fact that somebody actually like lined up against Calvin Johnson for a whole game and like shut him down is insane. I don't know. I mean, that only happened in the NFL like once or twice. Like that's.
Let's be real. I'm sure he got some help from the quarterback. I don't know. It would have been Reggie Ball in 06.
I'm not sure.
I know it was 04 where Reggie Ball was there. I was at that game where he threw the ball away on 4th down.
Yeah.
I was at that one.
Another Detroit Lions legend, Reggie Ball.
Was he a Detroit Lion?
He was on the 08 team that didn't win.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'm sure he had some safety help over the top. I'm sure George had a good game plan, Willie Martinez and the gang. But yeah, I mean, and they really shut him down in 05 too, with Demario Minter. Like Georgia had those big corners there for a couple of years, but he had that one sick catch, that like diving catch in the corner. I want to say Georgia won 14-7 in 05 because I remember they had like a first down at like the 10-yard line or something. And I remember saying as a teenager who didn't know anything about anything, I'm like, if they don't throw the ball to Calvin Johnson 4 straight times, they're idiots, and first down, I think they throw it opposite side. Tim Jennings picks it off, returns it like 50 yards and then runs out of bounds. But yeah, there I guess there's been more good Georgia Tech moments than I'm giving the Yellow Jackets credit for.
Yeah, there have been some crazy games in this rivalry, man. I mean, I just like with anything, I mean, the last like 3 or 4 years can make you forget. Like we think that like the game last year was, the first entertaining game in this rivalry in years. But if you really look back at your history, like there have been some wild ones in this rivalry, and we might be due for another one on Friday.
Yeah, and it seems like kind of the common wisdom for me when this game is like the years that Georgia is truly legit, they just absolutely destroy Georgia Tech. Like it's just like the 07 season or something, like the 2021, 2022. Yeah, 2017. Like I think 02 was another one when they won the SEC. They put like a 50 spot on Georgia Tech. Like the legit Georgia teams seem to get it done. Last year's a team that won the SEC, but we're also kind of sitting there the whole year like, how good is this team? I'm not even really sure. And that was a game that went to 8 overtimes. So I think we feel a lot better as Georgia fans in this team right now than we did a year ago about the team that was going to the Georgia Tech game.
Oh yeah, I don't even think it's a debate. I mean, this Georgia team has just looked so much more complete, so much more just I mean, and they look better in almost every single way. Like they can run the ball this time around. They can actually protect their quarterback. The only thing that is probably worse from last year is the pass rush has dropped off quite a bit, as we always say. But absolutely, Georgia's been blowing the doors off people this whole month. So, what better way to cap off a crazy month for the program than by playing your big in-state rival and hopefully getting past them as well. So.
Absolutely, sir. So let's put the numbers on the screen here. So these are the stats against Power 4 competition this year. Georgia Tech 7-2, 6-2 in the conference. They're one out of conference to this point is Colorado, and then Georgia didn't play in. This is Georgia's first Power 4 game outside of the SEC this year. So they went 7-1. You look at the numbers, a lot of similarities, like 31 points a game in these Power 4 games. Georgia 32.9. Like Tech's got the advantage on the ground and through the air. Slight advantage in third down conversion percentage offensively. But then defensively, it feels like it's not really close. Like 27 points, 27.6 points versus 21.9 isn't a huge difference. But 100 yards a game versus 171 on the ground, like that's a big difference. And then I don't have these stats on there, but you look at like the pass defense, like the 256 versus 233, like pass yards are just not really like a great sign. But Tech has given up 13 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions on the season. So Georgia slightly better, 11 touchdowns to 4 picks. But you see both teams negative in the turnover differential in these Power 4 matchups. Tech's -4 and Georgia -1. Only turned teams over 7 times in these games. And then Kirby head-to-head versus Tech, 7-1, 7 straight, and 3-0 versus Brent Key. So yeah, we were talking about Mark Richt. So I guess Richt did do 7 straight, but he never did 8 straight. So this would be Kirby getting 8 straight.
Yeah, Richt from 01 to 07 got him 7 in a row. So man,
okay,
yeah,
so
great. I mean,
Kirby's got a best that.
That's one of the more impressive things about Mark Richt's career too. Is that streak that he had over Tech? Yeah. Let me see. I guess do we want to start, talking about the game or whatever, breaking it down?
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's break it down.
I mean, I pretty much watched the entire Tech versus Pitt game last weekend, and it was pretty appalling to see how much Pitt was just kicking their butts on the ground. I mean, the amount of times that they would just get the edge and just turn it up immediately was pretty wild. I feel like, I don't know what it was. I guess their tackles were just manhandling Tech's edge guys because they were getting to the outside so much. And I mean, their running back went over 200 yards, averaged 10 yards a carry. Their true freshman quarterback was super efficient through the air. And I think you saw that, Tech put up a pretty valiant fight in that game to come back. Obviously, they had the pick 6, and the game just ultimately got away with them. Pitt breaks off that huge run at the end to ice it. But I think that game just kind of screams how Tech is not built to play from behind at all.
Mm-hmm.
What they want to do is they want to go really heavy sets, and they want to run the ball with Haynes King and Jamal Haynes, and just, control the pace, control the flow, own the third downs, and never have to face any third and longs or anything. But when they're down by 3 scores, 2 scores even, and Haynes King has to, live in the drop back game, that's just not the way that they want to play ball. And I think that you really saw that on Saturday. Like, Tech does a lot of really good things well. I mean, they run the ball just about as well as anybody in the country, but when you can knock them off their script early and kind of force them to, I guess, play with one hand behind their back or whatever you want to say, like, it just doesn't look like the same team at all.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think this is a game where the fast start, while it might not be like essential to win the game, a fast start could be essential in just kind of burying Tech early. Yeah. And because they were coming back in that one. I thought they were going to come all the way back, but that pick 6 really did just totally take the steam away from them. But, and I will say, Tech's offense is legit. Their defense should get destroyed by Georgia, if we're being honest. Like, with what this Georgia offense has been kind of the second half of the season, like, and what this Tech's defense has been all season, like, I'm sure Tech will make some plays offensively. I just cannot see like a game like Ole Miss or something. Like, I can't see Georgia Tech scoring every single time they have the ball like Ole Miss did, but I could see Georgia scoring every single time they get the ball like they did against Ole Miss. So yeah. I could see, yeah. I just also, like, these stats are even, but the caliber of Power 4 competition these two schools have faced is drastically different. Like, I mean, who's even the best team Georgia Tech has played this year? Is it Pitt?
It's like, yeah, they're like
Clemson, like
Duke.
Yeah, like they played
they beat Boston College by 2, and Boston College is terrible.
Yeah, like, I mean, do you remember the situation of the Wake Forest? I remember just thinking they were hosed, right? But do you remember exactly what happened in that game?
Let me see. Not exactly. But
It
I
was
just
like
remember
a
my dad
fourth
watched that
down
game, and then he spent the next
conversion.
week being like they should have lost. They got robbed or whatever.
It may have been like a fourth down conversion, and then like that shouldn't have counted or something. I can't remember, and like the game would have been
I just
over.
remember that I know that Wake Forest went for 2 to win the game, and they didn't get it. But I don't think that's what the incident was. But either way, I mean, they almost lost to Robbie Ashford. Like it's just not. It's just the problem with their defense. That's so much more of a problem than last year, I suppose. Is they just get gashed on the ground, man. I mean, when
Yeah,
NC State dropped like almost 50 on them, and they went for like 270 on the ground. I guess it's just Tech just doesn't play with the same level of edge or same physicality as maybe some SEC teams do, because it's been really easy to run the ball on them this year. And I think it's kind of tough when your own offense is so focused on, putting heavy sets on the field and running the ball and chewing up clock and sustaining these big drives. Well, when your defense is allowing the other team to do that as well, it's a lot harder for you to kind of play your own brand of football, Like it's harder for you
yeah.
to get into your game. And if the
Or
other team,
just
sorry.
where there's just less margin for error,
Yeah,
that
exactly. And like when
you're.
the other team's running it down your throat, it's just harder to do your own stuff. And you know, King is a pretty good passer. I think a lot of people act like King is just this like fullback who's playing quarterback. Like he's just like he's Sam Ellinger but worse or whatever. But King is a pretty good passer, but it's when they get him on the run off of these play action fakes and these bootlegs where he's on the move and everything like that. Like they don't really want him to be a drop back passer. That's not his game. That's not his strength. And the reason that they've been able to have this like super efficient passing offense is that they can live in these heavy sets where they can really marry the pass game with their run game, and up against these stack boxes or whatever, or one high safety looks, they can pull the ball from the running back's belly and hit a big play down the field. It's like, well, you can't do that if no one is respecting the run in the first place. If you're down by 20, no one's going to actually believe that you're running the ball. And I think that's kind of a problem that they ran into in the Pitt game. So whoever controls the lines of scrimmage is definitely going to win this game, like with most football games. And I kind of think Georgia has the edge there just because Georgia's really been able to run the ball this year, and they've really been able to stop the run too. Tech can run the ball, but they can't stop the run. So therein lies the difference.
Yeah, which is a pretty huge difference there. Because yeah, like you said, I think this team, that's just not what they're built to do. Like, yeah, if you want to go on, if you're down 20, you want to go on an 8-minute, 9-minute, drive and punch in it, and like, sure, go ahead and do that. You still need to score a few more times, but yeah, I obviously, the way they gashed Georgia's defense a year ago, like you can't ignore. Like it seemed like they had, they knew what Georgia was running. It almost seemed like, and obviously we know Buster Faulkner has experience on that Georgia staff, but that defense just didn't know. They didn't know where the ball was going, where it was coming from, or anything in that first half a year ago. And they obviously, settled in a little bit and were able to come back. But I can't completely forget about what they did a year ago in Athens,
No, I
even
can't.
though this defense is definitely taking strides, and I would say is better than they were a year ago.
Yeah, I also think the loss of Eric Singleton for Tech is a pretty big deal. Obviously, their offense has been pretty good this year without him. They've been just fine for all intents and purposes, but they've got good players at receiver this year. Better than they usually have. Certainly, like I think Eric Rivers is a pretty good player, but I don't think there's anybody that's that caliber of perimeter playmaker that Singleton was last year. And Singleton kind of torched Georgia last year, so that would be kind of like last year, if Tech is having a rough time running the ball, establishing their run early and all that stuff, they do have a guy that they could turn to and say, get this guy the ball and get out of his way or whatever. But Singleton's not there anymore, and I think that makes things a lot harder for them against this Georgia defense.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I think this and going back to the defense too, like I was just looking at their last couple games, and Boston College is the third worst run offense in the ACC this year, and they ran for 175 on Georgia Tech. And Pitt this past week threw for 226, ran for 186. There's just no reason that Georgia can't do exactly what Pitt did against Georgia Tech. Like Georgia, Georgia wants to be balanced. I think they have, Heinschel, is that how you pronounce his name?
Yeah,
The freshman quarterback.
He balled out. He played really good against them.
Yeah, he looked good for sure, but there's no reason that Gunnar Stockton can't go out and do exactly what this guy was doing, and also running the ball a little bit on Georgia Tech as well. So yeah, I do wonder about this about how much success Haynes King in this offense can have, because I mean, who would you compare him to that Georgia has faced offensively this year? Like
this year.
What's his name? Chambliss is probably the best runner of any of the quarterbacks Georgia's faced. But Aguilar and Simpson were really beating them with their arm. Outside of that, I can't think of many comps for a Haynes King on Georgia's schedule.
The closest thing that they saw to Haynes King might have been Kamario Taylor from Mississippi State. But he's not the same type of player as Haynes King at all. I mean, they're both, I guess, running quarterbacks at the end of the day. But Taylor is, a smaller, more explosive guy. More of a
Is he smaller?
guy. I think he's a little bit smaller than Haynes King. He's okay. No, actually, he's not. He's
he was huge. Right?
I just assume everyone's smaller than Haynes King because Haynes King is massive. But I mean, I feel like he is more of an explosive, explosive guy, whereas Haynes King is that like QB power type of runner who just like lowers his shoulder and just takes a beating the whole game. But I guess that would be the closest that they've seen to Haynes King is Kamario Taylor, who did have a good game. He ran for 3 touchdowns against Georgia or something. So
that is true.
He is there, and Chambliss also, like you said. I mean, Chambliss I think was their leading rusher, right? And against Georgia, like they've given up yards to quarterbacks. I don't know. That could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is because I think they shut Lacey down in that.
And they're obviously a team that wants to run the ball. Ole Miss, a kind of dynamic offense that wants to run the ball, and so like Georgia Tech, that's what they are. So I mean, maybe I would say that seems like the best case scenario for Georgia Tech is to do what Ole Miss did, and not saying Gunnar Stockton and Georgia's offense is going to do exactly what they did in response to Ole Miss, but I trust Ole Miss's defense, who I don't really trust in the SEC. I trust Ole Miss's defense more than Georgia Tech. Like, this is honestly a pretty similar comp. Now that I'm kind of thinking about this out loud, like Ole Miss I think was giving up like 180 on the ground going to that Georgia game. Like they were getting torched. So I think it's kind of similar. And I think even best case scenario, Georgia, or I say worst case scenario for Georgia, gives up 35 points in this game. I think with how this team is built, they could score. I still don't think there's any number that Georgia can't hit offensively, even if Tech is having a lot of success. Like as long as they're taking care of the ball, which obviously Gunnar threw a pick last week, but in the games versus Power 4 competition, Gunnar hadn't turned it over many times. So I had the stats in front of me. The only picks were, did he throw one versus Texas?
Stockton?
Yeah, that's right. Threw one versus Texas, one versus Florida, and one versus Kentucky. Yeah. So I'm forgetting the Florida one.
Charlotte.
In the Power 4 games. Because he's 14-3 in the games versus Power 4 competition. Yeah, we're gonna get out the negatives in those cupcake games. But yeah, so I trust Gunnar Stockton to be able to take care of the ball. And I just feel like this is a game I feel better about right now than I did in week 1. And I wouldn't be surprised if Georgia kind of blows out Georgia Tech, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't think there's a scenario where Georgia doesn't score 42 points unless it's like a scenario of they don't get that many possessions, and it's just both teams are going on 7-8 minute drives every time they get the ball or something. I think Georgia's going to have a lot of success. Do we want to pick our final scores here? Just go ahead and make the picks.
Sure. Yeah. I still think I know that Tech has a lot of issues and they're not as good of a team as they were last year, but I still don't think this is going to be a blowout just because I think Tech is going to be ready to play in this one. I think ever since Nate Frazier crossed the goal line last year on the last play of the game in 8 overtimes, they've had this one more than circled on the calendar. They've had it circled on their brains for the last year. And this rivalry has just been trending into more and more chaos lately. You know, the Georgia Tech game from 2023 was kind of close. I mean, that was a game that Georgia had to kind of gut out in the end on the road and everything. And Georgia's been the more talented team than Georgia Tech for the last like 40 years. You know, like from a talent perspective, Georgia should always beat Georgia Tech. But whenever they don't, it's because Tech just really wants it badly. And I think that they will in this game too. But the big difference with that being said is that Georgia's running game has just really, really, really progressed, really improved so much from last year. Whereas Georgia Tech's run defense has just kind of fallen off a cliff. I mean, Georgia didn't really have that much success running the ball against Tech last year. That's probably why they went down 17-0 is they couldn't establish the run. And aside from that one little like jet sweep to Arian Smith, they didn't hit an explosive run that whole game, I don't think. They didn't hit an explosive run like the whole season until Trevor Etienne in the SEC championship. But so I think that Georgia's going to be able to just ground them and pound them on the running game this year, and that's going to kind of force Tech to play a little bit off script. So I kind of think it's going to go similar to the way that the Tech Pitt game went. I think Georgia's going to go up early, maybe by 2 or 3 scores, and then Tech is going to have to claw their way back into it. But I think it'll ultimately be too late. So I'll go with the final score of 35-24, Georgia.
All right, so no cover.
At one point in the fourth quarter, it'll be 28-24, and I think Georgia will go on a death march at the end to seal it.
Okay, so you're thinking a fourth quarter game that Georgia wins by double digits, basically.
Yes, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm kind of. We didn't even name Arch Manning as far as a Haynes King comp. I don't know if he doesn't necessarily play the same way, but I could see this game going similar to the Texas game, though. I could see this just, and that was a game going in the fourth quarter that I'm not saying it's going to be that sort of close, and then Georgia goes 21-0 fourth quarter. But I could see a scenario where Tech doesn't have as much success as kind of everyone assumes offensively, because I think this Georgia defense is taking strides.
They are.
And I just don't see them. I don't see Tech consistently stopping Georgia in this game. I'm going to say 38-17 that Georgia absolutely opens up a can on the Yellow Jackets. Maybe it's 17-14 first half or something. Yeah. You know, maybe Tech's off to a good start or something, but I'm not saying it's just going to be uncompetitive for 4 quarters, but yeah. I think Georgia, I just like kind of going back to my logic before. I just think when Georgia's legit, they take care of business in this game. I'm not going to say they snuck up on Georgia a year ago, because I feel like it was a big game atmosphere, the Black Friday thing a year ago. So it wasn't some sleepy noon game. So I'll give Tech the credit for just matching Georgia toe to toe. A lot of teams did with Georgia a year ago, but I just think this team is better, and they're getting better at the right time too. So yeah, give me Georgia 38-17. Yeah. And then I'll tell you our preseason predictions, sir.
Oh yeah, I want to see this because, dude, I was super scared of Tech going into the year. I'm still pretty scared of Tech, just always. The game last year was so crazy. I'm like, man.
See, that's interesting. I have you for 40-24 was your preseason prediction in this game.
I guess I wasn't that scared,
and I had 34-27, so I was definitely a little more worried.
Maybe I wasn't. I don't know.
I don't know.
After how last year was really the craziest Georgia versus Georgia Tech game in history, and as much as whenever I think about this game, everything leads me to believe Georgia is just the better team in every way. They've got a better offense. They've got a better defense. They're just more complete. They can beat you in multiple ways, whereas Tech can really only beat you one way. But man, it's Georgia Tech. It's Brent Key. It's Haynes King. These guys are going to want to win, and I know Georgia will too. I hate to be the guy that's like, well, they're going to want it. But I just think this game
Brent Key does hate Georgia, for sure.
I know. Brent Key – what did Brent Key – Brent Key said something the other day. He had a really cool quote. They were like asking him about if he was going to entertain going anywhere else, and he was like, cut me open and see what color I bleed. I was like, So
He didn't say no though.
yeah, I guess not. But I think that Tech is really going to get up for this game in a way that they probably haven't gotten up for a game all season. And I'm not expecting a wire to wire win at all. And I don't think anybody should be. I think this rivalry just has the touch now of it's going to be crazy. Like as long as these two coaches and these teams are going up against each other, there's going to be something crazy happening, but shouldn't go into 8 overtimes this year. Georgia's the better team, and Georgia has had several games this year where they've kind of, hung around for a little bit, and then they've realized we're the better team. We're going to take over and play Georgia football, and we're going to, cruise to the win. And ultimately, I think that's what will happen in this one. But for a while there, I expect it to get weird.
I wouldn't be surprised, and you're probably right as far as this game has been closer more times. I think a lot of people realize. I think myself included. So 2023 was another game where Tech was competitive. So I won't be surprised if so. Yeah, my prediction. It's not necessarily disappointing if they don't blast them. I just have a feeling this team could end up taking care of business that way. Also, just if you're curious, I predicted 48-6 the Charlotte game, and you predicted 65-7.
65. Oh, I think I just did that for the meme. For the
yeah, there you go. TCU score. Yeah, so they did not cover in that one. But I guess last thing I'll say, what is the scenario where what has to happen for Georgia Tech to upset Georgia?
I think they've got a really, honestly, man, very similar script to last year, except this time they finish it off. They go out there, they run it all over Georgia's face early in the game. They get a takeaway or two on defense, and they go up by a couple scores early, and then this time they finish it out. They keep running the ball. I think that's what it would take, and they're capable of that. They really are. I mean, they still have Haynes King, man. They still have Jamal Haynes. This is still very much a good ass team that can really run the ball and has a defined brand of football that's not just really annoying triple option stuff. So I think that's what it would take is they'd have to get up on them early and boa constrictor them from there. But both of those teams are going to be wanting to do that. So we'll just have to get better at it.
I think you're right. And there's no scenario where Georgia Tech beats Georgia if they don't have a first half lead, or at least a lead for most of the first half, maybe a 10-point lead at some point. And Georgia's battling back.
The difference between these two teams, I said it earlier, is Georgia is built to beat you in a bunch of different ways. They can beat you through the air. They can beat you on the ground. They can even, they haven't really done this year, but I still think they're capable of winning a game with their defense at this point, with how the defense has started to look. But for Tech to win, it really has to go one way. It really has to be they get up on you early and they just run the ball and strangle you to death with the running game. Yeah. They're built to win in a very specific way. Georgia is built to win in a lot of different ways. And I think that's kind of what you need in this game is you need to be able to live with more than one possibility. And I think Georgia's much more equipped for that than Tech is.
Yeah, I also think there's no scenario where Tech wins without a turnover. They have to have one, if not multiple turnovers. The only game Georgia's lost in the SEC all season against anybody is the Alabama game where they lost the turnover battle. I think, there haven't been a lot of turnovers in Georgia games in general, on either side, but Georgia Tech would have to win the turnover battle, I think, to win this game. But like you said, Georgia can win games multiple ways. And I will say, if Gunnar doesn't run that in at the end of the Auburn game, he just takes a knee like he did at the end of Florida. Georgia wins that game 13-10. So you got to give the defense credit for that one.
Exactly.
Only giving up 10 points. I gave up 10 against Texas as well. So this defense is playing well at the right time for sure.
Yeah, it's really starting to peak at a good time. I'm not convinced that this is just going to morph into some world-beating unit. But about a month ago, I kind of thought that Georgia just wasn't going to win the national championship or have a chance to compete for it because their defense just wasn't up to the task. But I don't feel that way anymore. I think this group is really coming on at the right time. Really have liked what I've seen from Gabe Harris and Quintavious Johnson off the edge lately. The secondary starting to play a lot better. Ellis Robinson's starting to look like an NFL player out there. There's just a lot of guys that are playing better, and it really stings that CJ Allen is out. But even then, man, like I kind of like what Justin Williams and Chris Cole did on Saturday. Chris Cole obviously lined up all over the place again, like he does, but I thought Justin looked pretty comfortable out there. And then, of course, Raylan Wilson's still there. So I wish CJ Allen was playing in this game because he played so well against Tech last year that I just want to see it again. But I think that they're going to be okay without him. But I really hope he comes back, man, because –
Did you say Raylan Wilson or you mean CJ Allen?
CJ Allen.
Did I hear that wrong?
I might have mentioned Raylan Wilson a little fast, but yeah. No, I meant CJ.
I got you. Yeah. I got you. I may have heard it wrong.
I'm saying they're not dead in the water without CJ Allen because Raylan Wilson is also kind of playing out of his mind this year.
Yeah, I've been really impressed with Raylan Wilson this year. Also, shout out to my guy DeMello Jones. He's been a playmaker, sir. I'm excited to see what Georgia can do after the bye week with Charlotte. So yeah, I just think this team's healthy. Vibes seem good. And I think that's the biggest thing with Kirby Smart teams. Like I feel like we used to worry about the vibes. Like we need to be the underdog. We're too confident. It's like now it's like this team's used to. I saw one of those SEC Inside shows with Glenn Schumann, like yelling at his defense pregame, like this is a big game because we're playing in it, and it's just like I feel like that's a great sentiment. It's like it's always a big game. Georgia's playing in it, So this team just always has the right approach mentally. So I'm not worried about being like this team being overconfident, and not preparing for Georgia Tech because that's just not how they operate.
Well, and the vibe is also really different this year because I should have brought this up much earlier in the show, but you got to remember last year before the week before the Tech game, they had that horrible performance against UMass where UMass ran for over 200 yards on them. And I remember obviously Georgia won the game by a lot of points or whatever, but like I remember the feeling being, wow, the Minutemen just ran the ball all over us. And we've got to play Georgia Tech next week. Imagine what they're going to do to us. Sure enough, Tech goes up 17-0, almost wins the game, comes a Dan Jackson 4 fumble away from winning the game. So, the vibes were kind of shot last year in terms of, Georgia's offense is kind of falling apart. They had that good game against Tennessee, but there were still all the concerns about, the receivers dropping balls and Beck turning it over and the offensive line just not being healthy or really that good. The running game wasn't that good. And then the defense at the worst possible time gave up 200 yards to a FCS school. So it didn't feel like it did now. This game against Charlotte, the fact that we only talked about it for a few minutes and moved on and had nothing but good things to say, that says a lot. And that's not how we were feeling last year. So I think that's a big deal too.
Yeah, that's a good call. Who's the player of the game?
Ooh, the player of the game. Well, again, I kind of think that the main difference between this game and last year is that Georgia's going to be able to impose its will on the ground a lot better and a lot earlier. So I would have to say the big beneficiary of that would be Nate Frazier. I mean, Nate Frazier was the hero of the game last year when he scored the final 2-point conversion. He's been playing the best ball of his career over the past month or so, and I think with how suspect, to put it nicely, Tech's run defense has been lately and how damn good he's been playing, I think things are lining up for him to have a huge game. So I'll go with Nate Frazier.
That's a good call. I'll go with the guy who's the extension of the run game. Give me Zachariah Branch, sir. He's this team has not tackled well all season. I could see Zachariah Branch breaking off a couple big ones on this Georgia Tech defense. That's all I got for this game, sir. Let's give a quick. It's rivalry week, as Sanjay says here in the chat. Best weekend of the year. Let's also T-Bone chiming in on the in the live chat. Appreciate you guys watching live. Let's go with a quick SEC rivalry week. Whatever I'm trying to say. You get it. Rundown. Whatever I'm trying to say. Friday, we got the triple header on Friday before Georgia Tech at noon. You got Ole Miss, Mississippi State. Ole Miss 6.5-point favorite. All the Lane Kiffin stuff going on. Any chance Mississippi State upsets the Rebels?
I think there absolutely is with all of the just weirdness going on with Lane Kiffin. I mean, I really don't like the way Lane Kiffin is choosing to handle this whole situation. The fact that he is like deliberately choosing to play coy and feed into all of it and just be as weird as he could possibly be about it, which, like, yeah, it's Lane Kiffin. What do you expect? But I think, where there's smoke, there's fire. And the fact that Ole Miss had to give him an ultimatum to announce his future and he's doing it after the Egg Bowl, maybe we'll get like a Wolf of Wall Street moment where he's like, I'm not leaving or whatever. But we might be more likely for like, I mean, I think there's a real chance Ole Miss could just crap the bed in this game. And I'm not going to go as far as to say that I just straight up think Mississippi State will win, but I absolutely think that like it's kind of a toss up. But Ole Miss is the more talented team, and they are still playing for the playoffs at the end of the day, even if their coach might have one foot out the door. I don't think their players do. So I'll go with Ole Miss in that game, but they might not cover, man.
At risk of derailing the show here, I disagree in terms of Lane Kiffin's handling of this situation, because Lane Kiffin is definitely leaving. Like, he's going to take another job.
Yeah, I guess he is.
So should he be talking about it? I think we all prefer him just keep being Ole Miss's coach and not talk about being the coach of Florida next year or something, right? Like, isn't him saying nothing better than like actually talking? Like, I don't know. Would we like it more if he already said, I accept another job? You guys will find out where after the season's over. Like, I don't know. This all seems weird to me. Like, Ole Miss, if he wants to coach this team all the way through the playoff, like, even though he's gonna accept another job, I just feel like Ole Miss should be cool with that. Like, this is the best season Ole Miss has like ever had. Like, just enjoy the ride. Figure out, like, Ole Miss should also be doing their due diligence, seeing, hey, John Summerall, whoever, like, if our job opened up, would you be interested in this? Like, whoever it is, like, do your due diligence. But like, I don't know. This is gonna happen. This feels like a college football like calendar issue and not like a Lane Kiffin issue to me.
Yeah, I know that's what everyone's been saying, but I don't know. I feel like he's kind of openly flirting with the possibilities, and you see the reports of his families, visiting Baton Rouge and Florida and everything, and it's Lane is just being Lane about this whole thing, and sometimes that's exhausting. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to this whole saga ending, and I'm hoping he doesn't go to Florida because I don't want their fans to be happy.
Yeah, I think if I could handpick one coach I would not want to go to Florida as a Georgia fan, it would be Lane Kiffin. So if he goes to Florida, that's definitely the kind of guy that's had success with the Gators in the past. But we'll see. Maybe he goes to LSU. Maybe he stays at Ole Miss. But I do think this is going to be a fourth quarter game. But I think Ole Miss wins it because this is a playoff team.
I want to see some Kamario Taylor ball in this one, man. I want to see him make some plays. That's my guy.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, Mississippi State's been playing everyone tough all year, and this is to get to a bowl game too. This game means a lot for them.
Yeah.
And then the nightcap on a Friday night is A&M at Texas, man. And so I don't know. As much as I've talked about Texas A&M being kind of like fraudulent in their schedule being weak, like Texas doesn't have like a great resume either. I've also kind of downplayed Texas's resume at times too. But this feels like this is the best team they've played all year in the SEC. Yeah. The next to Notre Dame, this is their toughest game of the entire season. And I don't feel great about Texas A&M right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally warranted with how funny they looked against South Carolina. But also, I'll say it again, I do think that it does say a lot about their team that they just went full throttle and came back the way they did. But yeah, A&M for an undefeated team in the SEC in late November, they definitely don't look like as much of a Death Star as they could. That's not me saying I don't think they're good, because I think they're incredibly good. But yeah, this is a huge game. I mean, I think this is the kind of game where you just kind of throw the records out of the window. I mean, this is a super storied rivalry that we were robbed of for over a decade because of administrative BS or whatever between their two athletic departments and everything. And now it's back. They're both in the SEC. It's their first time going to DKR and who knows how long, probably since like 2010 or something like that. Like I'm really excited for this one. I'll just say that. I'm really excited. And maybe this is me being a biased Georgia fan, but I'm gonna have to go against you, man. I'm gonna say hook 'em in this one. I think Texas is gonna win this game. I think that environment is going to be electric. I mean, their fans always get up for a game, especially the A&M game. I don't know. I mean, like I can't shake the feeling, man. I can't shake the feeling that we might get a bit of a Marcel Reed stinker on the road. I know that he balled out against Notre Dame on the road earlier in the year, but that was a long time ago. Like, and even in that game, he had some weird moments. I don't even think he completed half of his passes, but yeah, I don't know. Texas is really talented. I think that this season, even if they beat A&M, is going to go down as one of the most disappointing seasons for any college football team ever, considering they were like the preseason number one and they were anointed before the year and all this. And the Athletic was writing stuff, calling them the new Bama and all that. But if they've got one good performance in them, one signature performance in them this year, I think it's this one. So give me the horns.
Yeah, and I haven't made my pick yet, so I feel like I've waffled a lot on this game, but I think I'm with you. I at Texas too, like it's hard to forget how much they kind of physically dominated A&M a year ago, like in Kyle Field too. Like I want to say they had like a couple turnovers or something in the red zone or something. There was something that like kept A&M kind of made the game look closer than it was for the first three quarters, even though Texas kind of dominated the stat sheet. But yeah, these obviously are different teams than they were a year ago, but I'm also thinking Texas gets it done. Also because selfishly as a Georgia fan, if Georgia plays in the SEC championship, I would prefer it not be Bama because we don't play Bama well. I've just accepted it at this point. And so because of that, I know the universe is going to say, you're not going to get what you want. And A&M's going to lose and you're going to have to play Bama again. And it would just be kind of funny from a perspective like, oh, we've had a crazy SEC season. SEC is more balanced than ever. There's more parity. And it's like, who's in the SEC championship? Oh, it's Georgia and Alabama for like the however many time. But yeah, I think I'm with you. I don't feel great about us picking the same one, but I think I'm also taking Texas, man.
Yeah, I mean, I could also I could see this game going either way, but I really hope we're in for a classic, man. That's one of the only good things about the conferences getting all messed up is that we got this rivalry back. So we'll take our wins where we can get them as college football fans these days.
For sure. Then we got Saturday, Kentucky trying to get bowl eligibility, going to Louisville, 7-4, 5-6 versus 7-4. What are your thoughts? Kentucky going to beat Louisville?
Louisville? Yeah, I know Louisville's kind of sputtered lately after they got that big signature win over Miami. And I didn't catch too much of the Kentucky Vanderbilt game last weekend, but whenever I did, I wasn't
them.
Yeah, I wasn't all that moved by what I saw from Kentucky. So I don't know. This is another toss up. Also, kind of, I feel like to us who don't live in KY, maybe the gravity of this rivalry and what it means kind of gets lost on us. But I'll go with the Cardinals. I just think they've been a better team this year for pretty much the entire season, and it's at Louisville, I believe. So
yeah,
I'll go with the Cardinals. But yeah, Kentucky. I mean, they've both got a lot to play for. This is a huge rivalry game, and Kentucky's playing for bowl eligibility. These are two coaches that are both very proud of their programs, but I'll go with Louisville.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think we're an SEC podcast here, but I think Louisville gets it done. The other noon game, Clemson at South Carolina.
Was
it 6-5 at 4-7? But
just
Williams-Brice is going to get up for the Clemson game. I don't know, man. I really have no idea what's going to happen in this one. I guess one of my things I always go by is that everyone gets one. Has South Carolina gotten one this year? Like, have they gotten a win that they were
They
like
got
happy about?
the one that they got one in, they lost to A&M.
Yeah, honestly, that probably was
their
it.
getting one. So, man, this is a
Kentucky, their
really,
only SEC win this year.
this is a really depressing matchup for me because these are two teams I was pretty high on before the year and was looking forward to watching them play. And the fact that neither of them are even going to make a bowl game, possibly, or maybe
no, Clemson 6-5.
Oh, Clemson 6-5. Okay, whatever. Well, the fact that Clemson still sucks and South Carolina has won 3 games, kind of depressing because I like both of these quarterbacks a lot, and I kind of like both of these programs in general. I guess they're both rivals of Georgia, so I don't like them too much, but I respect them.
I was about to say, man.
And I don't know, man. Give me the Gamecocks because it's at Williams-Brice.
That's my logic. I don't like either of these teams at all, but I do like this rivalry. And yeah, South Carolina, Clemson, it's always fun. I'm gonna go with the home team as well. Give me South Carolina. Then we got LSU at Oklahoma, which is probably one of the more dangerous, like, bad teams to face, I would say, at this point in the season. One win and you're in the college football playoff if you're Oklahoma. But LSU, what was it, 13-10 versus Western Kentucky last week?
Yeah, they look
obviously they're not getting up for that game the same way they're getting up for the Oklahoma game, but it'll be close because Oklahoma doesn't have an offense. But I think Oklahoma will get it done. Probably won't cover 10.5. I don't know. I was wrong about them covering Missouri last week because they only gave up 6 points. So they could definitely just shut LSU out in general and win this thing, 13-0 or something. But I think it'll be a close one. But yeah, probably first one to 20 wins this game, like 20-17, 20-13, something like that. But yeah, give me Oklahoma.
It looks like LSU just doesn't even care. I mean, every single LSU game I've watched since week 1 has just kind of felt like they're totally checked out, and especially after Kelly got fired. Oklahoma is the complete opposite. I mean, yeah, like you said, they're 1 win away from a playoff berth, so I think Oklahoma is going to smoke LSU in this game. LSU just doesn't look like any of them want to be there right now.
Yeah, that's fair. You haven't really seen many good performances from them this year. Even though the Clemson win, it's like they scored 17 points, like scored 20 versus Florida, 19 versus Ole Miss, 9 versus Alabama, lost, was it 49-25 versus A&M? Yeah, just a lot of 23-22 versus Arkansas, lowest scoring Arkansas game probably of the season, 23-22. But yeah, it's just they've just not been a fun team to watch. So yeah, I'm with you there. Vanderbilt, Tennessee. This is probably one of the more interesting games of Saturday to me. Is Vanderbilt, Tennessee, and you got to be rooting for the Commodores, but I feel like I don't trust the Commodores going into Knoxville. I think Diego Pavia, I think if they win this game, he solidifies and he has a good game, assuming he solidifies himself with an invite to New York. I think you might as well give him an invite, like doing what he's doing at Vanderbilt. Like, but I don't think he's going to do it. I think Tennessee's going to win this. Both these teams end up 9-3.
Yeah, I've got Tennessee as well. I might just be more high on Tennessee than the average American because I watched them play Georgia, and I'm still just consumed by how well they played in that game and the fact that they probably should have beat Georgia. But yeah, I mean, Neyland is an impossible place to play at. That place is a madhouse, and this is another rivalry that really matters a lot. And they're both going to get up for it, and I trust Tennessee more than I trust Vanderbilt in this one. I just do.
Yeah, I'm with you there. And I think for Vanderbilt, for your sanity, you should actually want to lose this game, because if Vanderbilt goes 10-2, they're not getting in the college football playoff. And I would just be furious that everyone told us that you go 10-2 in the SEC, you're guaranteed to make the playoff. And I think there's a very realistic scenario of them going 10-2 and getting left out. So just go 9-3 and just celebrate the season and not be super bitter about it. It might be best for your sanity. Then we got Missouri at Arkansas. That's probably the least interesting game of the day. to me in the SEC, like especially one of the few SEC versus SEC games we get. It's like, I don't know, Arkansas or Missouri just feels like the best team that's beaten nobody in the SEC, basically. Like it's just kind of won all the games they're supposed to against the weak competition, and then every time they've played someone legitimate, they've lost. So I think they've only lost to good teams. I guess you can say that, right? They lost to Bama, to Vanderbilt, who else? To A&M and to Oklahoma. So they've lost to good teams, but they just haven't beaten anybody. And I don't know, Arkansas is maybe this is the one that Arkansas gets, right? They're still winless in conference. I say everybody gets one, so
yeah,
if Jalen Green's playing, you taking Arkansas?
Yeah, they're due. Whoop pig.
Yeah, I'm with you there, man. Best 2-9 team in college football.
That's right.
Yeah, they're gonna get one. Man, we're both picking the upsets, Arkansas and Texas. And then Florida State, Florida. Man, who cares? I don't know. Florida's at home. I guess it's at the Swamp. I guess I'm going Florida. Florida won last year, right?
Florida State is a depressing program, and Florida is in the Swamp. Yeah, give me Florida. Sure, why not?
Although, man, if you say Norvell's coming back and then you miss a bowl game for the second straight year, they are playing for a bowl game in this one. Florida's not really playing for anything, but yeah, I don't know how they can justify Norvell coming back at this point. But yeah, we'll both take the Gators there. And then the last one, Alabama at Auburn. Are you picking another upset, Sarah?
No, I'll stick with one upset. As much as I do think this is a really scary game for Alabama, I think they're going to know what's at stake in this one. And I think Simpson will give them just enough juice to get it done. But it'll be a tough one. I mean, it's Jordan Hare at night. It's the Iron Bowl. It's all that stuff. But Alabama has got to have a good performance in them left at some point this year, right? And it's got to come against this team if they want to make the playoffs. So I think that they'll understand that, and I think they'll take care of business.
Yeah, we kind of alluded to it earlier, just like Alabama's run game against this Auburn run defense. Like it's reasonable to expect they do nothing on the ground in this game, but Ty Simpson is good enough to and these receivers are good enough to just beat them through the air. So they should be able to.
Ty Simpson's good enough to do that by himself.
With the receivers that you don't think Ty Simpson's good anymore? No, you think he's bad?
He's been really bad the last month. But I don't think he's gonna be bad enough to lose to Auburn. But I don't think he's gonna play that good. I think it's just gonna do just enough.
Yeah, and then that might be all it takes because Auburn can't score more than like 14 points or something. But maybe this is Deuce Knight's, breakout party, and who knows what could happen. They obviously put up huge numbers. Was it Mercer they played last week?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. This game feels really dangerous. Kind of like I was saying with Georgia Tech. Like every time Georgia's legit, they take care of business versus Georgia Tech. I feel like on the flip side, every time Alabama is not like flawless juggernaut going into Jordan Hare, like I don't know, it's dangerous. Like what 2019 was that one of those games that was so crazy? Oh, they had like the 2 pick sixes, I want to say. Yeah. I don't know. I'm so close to picking Auburn in this one. If Alabama and A&M both lost, that's the scenario of Georgia Ole Miss in the SEC championship, right? Maybe that'll happen, but yeah, I think it's going to be close, but yeah, I think ultimately I got to go Alabama to win. It's I don't know. I think someone is going to get upset in the SEC this week. Either it's A&M, Oklahoma, or Alabama. I think one of those teams is going to lose this week.
I hope it's either A&M or Bama, man.
I hope you are right, and Georgia ends up in Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz 2 weeks in a row. And then the only other one, Ohio State, Michigan, is really the only. That's the last one we'll end on, Ohio State, Michigan. Yeah. 5 years in a row for Michigan?
No way, right? I mean, that was such an inexcusable loss for Ohio State last year. Like, I can't believe they lost to that Michigan team, frankly.
Yeah, me neither.
I think they were so pissed about it that they won the Natty off of anger. But yeah, I as much as I love Bryce, my little cousin, Ohio State has beaten everybody that's been in front of them this year, and they've done it quite handily. I think they get this win to get to 12-0 going into the conference championship against Indiana, and that's going to be a showdown.
Yeah, and Michigan is better this year than they were the year before, and it's in Ann Arbor. But yeah, I'm with you. We've gone over. We've gone way too long in this one, sir. Let's wrap this up. Let's go Ohio State, and that's all I got, sir. I appreciate anything else from you on your end.
That's all I got, man.
All right, man. I just looked at the time. I appreciate everyone who's stayed with us to this point. Everyone who's watching live, please like, share, subscribe to the channel and all that stuff. And as always, also, we will be coming to you Friday night for a post-game instant reaction show after Georgia Tech. So maybe wait right after the game. Maybe wait till see what happens in Texas A&M. I don't know. We'll see. We'll play it by ear. But for that guy over there, Bo Underwood, I'm Matt Green. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.